Hi, everybody. Welcome to another exciting, super duper mega hyped episode of The Title, where we talk about technology, innovation, and entrepreneurship. I'm your host, Sharon Zulu.
And I am your co-pilot, Doreen Mope, and today we are joined by a software developer, UI UX designer, as well as an innovator, just to let you guys know that we also do have like masculine energy.
Yeah, very.
So before I even review whom we have today, we just do as the tradition, like a drum roll.
Yeah,
Drum roll. So today we are joined by Samuel Kapasa, and he will be sharing with us the intersection between coding and design. We're super excited to have you, Samuel, today. We just want you to give like a brief introduction about this. Yes.
All right. Hi, Doreen. Hi, Sharon. Thanks for having me on this platform. It's just really a privilege. So simply, Samuel is a spirited and compassionate individual. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So my sense of purpose really, when it comes to just defining who I am, I would like to, in terms of even the things that I do, I like to do things that get to inspire others to do the things that inspire them. So everything that I do always revolves around that philosophy to say, okay, if I can do this, whether it be in tech, whether it be in teaching, other curricular activities that I take part in, my thought is always that what can I do that can inspire another person to do the thing that they love doing. So that's simply who I am.
Very good. Powerful. Oh no, right? It's the part said last week, like, yeah, it was just imagine I don't what's that green baby? Yes. It's amazing. It's like it's important to have compassion when you're doing something because you do it at your best level because you feel what you do. You feel me? Yeah. So here you are, you have coding and design. So how do you manage both coding and designing responsibilities? Because both of them are demanding things.
Yeah, definitely. Both design and programming, definitely demanding. Even when I was just getting started, there were times where I would have to like decide, okay, today am I going to be looking at design? Exactly. Is it programming and things like that? When I'm on a team, okay, which side should I lean in most? You know, there's always these challenges or let me say, questions that I had. But throughout time, like with experience over time, what I came to realize is that these two are actually not that far apart. Yeah. So I'll give you an example. People always, there's this statement that people always use to say, jack of all trades, but master of none, right? Yeah. Yeah. So when they say that, what they mean is you can't do more than two things, right? So let's say if you're focusing on, I'll just keep it in terms of the technology, right? So let's say you are a web developer. At the same time, you're also a mobile app developer. You're a machine learning developer engineer, right? Maybe you're also into AI, you're into UI UX design. Right? Yeah. So you can't manage all of them at the same time. That's what they usually mean, right? But then when you look at these, if we dig deep into each of these again, what you're going to find actually is that even those specific areas have got other majors, right? Yeah. If you say you're a web developer, you have to decide again, should you be a front-end or back-end, right? When you decide, okay, I want to be a front-end, what technology are you going to use, right? Is it React on the front-end? Is it Angular? Is it Vue, right? So there's always these questions to say, okay, what are you going to specialize in and all that? Right? That's the reason why people say jack of all trades and master of none, right? But due to just the experience in building apps and everything, right? So the mindset that I've come to build is that it all depends on, in terms of what you define for yourself to say, this is a singular thing, right? Yeah. So if someone says they're a web developer, being a web developer is like one major thing, right? Yeah. You can't separate it from mobile development and all that stuff. That's just one thing. So when you focus on that, the mindset that I've built around that is that UI and programming are actually one thing, right? Because you can't write code for a website without having the user in mind, right? At the end of the day, the code that you write needs to be, in terms of the performance, has to be good. In terms of how the user is finding the navigation of the site has to be good. So that's UI UX at the end of the day, right? So even as you write code, you also have that mindset. You also have that in mind to say, okay, someone's going to use this, right? So immediately I just switched in my mindset in terms of the approach. That's how I started managing the two. So every time I'm starting a project or writing code, the first thing I start with is the UI UX and implement it with code. So that's how I get to manage it.
Hey, thank you saying everything right now. I'm like, okay, I get it. Guys, me and get it. I know you're my issue, but we'll get it.
Yeah, I think it's good that you actually utilize the balance between coding and also UI and UX. But I just want to know, like, how do you find that both like programming and UI UX design, like both of them, these backgrounds, like what influence do they have in your problem solving approach? And also, as you answer this question, Samuel, I just want you to like briefly highlight on what UI and UX is, just for the people that don't know about UI.
Yes.
Maybe I'll start with defining what it is before I go to the problem solving.
Yeah.
So basically, the simplest way I like to put it, UI, which is user interface, right? User interface is just the look and feel of the platform or system that you're using. So for someone using Facebook, right? The pictures that you are seeing, the names of the people that you are following, and all those things, the text that you're looking at, that's the UI, right? What you're able to see, the feel of you interacting with the platform, that's the UI.
Yeah.
But the UX is how it works, right? How the application or the system or the software or the app works.
Yeah.
So the way you interact with it, whether you click this button, something pops up, maybe something goes dark, how the system works, that's UX. That's the user experience. Yeah. Then when it comes to problem solving, I think these two have actually had a high impact in terms of how I solve problems, not just in tech, right? Yeah. Because when you look at UI UX design, the focus mainly is the user.
Yes.
Right? You're always thinking about the user. Okay, if I design it in this way, is the user going to understand to say this is a button,
Cool.
this is a link, and things like that? Okay, if I program it in this way, or I use this framework or this technology, right? Is it going to perform very well? Is it going to be fast? Or is it going to be slow? And all those things.
Yeah.
So in everything that I now do or solutions that I get to provide, I'm always thinking about, okay, the person that's going to use this solution, are they going to understand? So that's how programming and UI UX design has actually impacted the way I solve problems. Yeah.
We like to cite things that you exercise of UI UX because the center is like the user. So whatever you're doing, you have to make sure that you're putting
Exactly. I believe that every product, from the paint, from the book, from every single thing that was made, whatever invented or came up with it, the person looked at the user.
Yeah.
So like you said, user experience, how will this person use it? How will the person interact with it? Yeah. So it's just about, because you can create anything that nobody will use. Means there's nada, right? Nothing.
Like, who are you creating?
Yes, exactly. So it has to be centered around the user. And like, I know something will talk.
I think if I can add, that's why you find that when it comes to even like just business solutions, right? The first thing that people always talk about, whether you go to an entrepreneurship conference or wherever you go, the preaching is always that always first do a market research, find out what problem is there, what challenges the user is facing, because because your solution or your app or your website is solving a challenge that a user is facing. So at the end of the day, you are looking at the user.
Definitely. Thank you.
Yeah, I know, right? So it's all this that you do, everything that you do UI, UX, and we've seen that you've been doing also online coding, teaching people about programming and everything through Facebook and YouTube. So can you share your experience with teaching coding online and its impact on making lessons accessible and inclusive?
Yeah, teaching online has been quite a great experience in journey. Yeah, I actually started a long time ago, but like the teachings that I used to provide were kind of enclosed. It was that thing where you put out an ad, people apply, they get into a program, like you just start teaching them here and there, right? But then again, the other thing that I also realized in terms of just giving out to the community also, and I was seeing a lot of people like people would approach to say, okay, how do you do this? How do you get started? And things like that, right? And one of the gaps that I saw was the fact that a lot of people don't know how to get started. Like when they start, they can figure out, okay, I want to do mobile app, they can build this and that, but just getting started. I think that was the challenge. So from there, I just picked it up to say, okay, I think that's where I'll start from. Like just helping individuals how to get started, and that's been a great experience. Yeah, I've had obviously some setbacks here and there. Yeah, it being online means it's affected either by the network and things like that, location as well. So there are those individuals that I would like to reach out to, but they're in places where internet access is a bit challenging. Yeah. So hopefully in the future we might have maybe a physical location where people can just come together and be able to just do these things and all that. Yeah. But it being accessible, it's very much accessible to anyone that has internet. Access to internet or Facebook and YouTube, it's very much accessible. Yeah. And in terms of the availability, it being available, we are always hosting it every Tuesday at 18 hours. Yeah. So if anyone that would like to get started in tech, maybe they were thinking about getting started, they didn't know where to start from, you can always join us every Tuesday, 18 hours.
Yeah. So like for everything you're saying right now, it's a good thing that you're doing it and you've studied it, because man, learning this from YouTube is so hard.
Like there are a lot of
there's a lot of things. There are a lot of Indian guys talking about programs. I'm like, yo, Prashad, but yeah, she's not sounding it. Yeah, there's out there. What's the idea? So you like a starting point whereby if it's a race, it's a green flag. Where like in brothers is so this is what you can do and this is where you start.
Yeah. And I think sorry to cut you short.
No.
So with like you've mentioned on YouTube, there's a lot of content, right? So one of the challenges that I faced with YouTube was a thing where let's say an individual has a certain course maybe on another platform. So what they would do is they wouldn't like fully teach you like everything like from A to Z, get you to understand and just introduce you to this thing. So what would happen is they would build a project and walk you through the project as they're teaching, right?
Yeah.
So as they're teaching you, you get excited because now you're able to understand these things that the person is teaching.
Exactly.
But they won't finish everything. We're like, okay, to get a full course and things like that, follow my link, like a course and things like that. Now you look at the fee, you're like, I can't afford it. We'll just find that rather in YouTube that's it was tedious like that, finding resources and just someone that. And again, the other thing is, even if the person is like teaching everything, there are those people when you're listening to them like you don't understand. You don't understand and you want some So again, you also have to find someone that can easily explain things. And this is one thing I've noticed about us developers or people in the tech industry. A lot of people know how to build stuff, but they don't know how to teach. They don't know how to teach. That's one of the challenges. So you find a very skillful developer, but them teaching you to reach that level where they're at. That's a challenge.
So you're right. Think because like these people have different technical jargon. Someone will say something this way, someone will say this. So yeah, you're doing a great job. Like I don't know if it's hands up or head. What was that thing? Like thumbs up. No, they were proper. Thumbs up. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's really inspiring to see that some actually you take your time to share, just like your time away from your busy schedules to share these coding lessons with people. I just want to know, like, what are some of the strategies that you employ to like make coding accessible and engaging to like different learners? Because like for learners, you have those that are just starting out, you have those that already maybe have built out of the basics. So how do you just make your learning to be accessible and engaging for different learners?
Okay. So like I said, the main purpose even for these live programming sessions that we always have every Tuesday, the purpose is to help individuals get started, right? Yeah. So I'm sure there are those that are more advanced, maybe they're intermediate, they get to join in and everything, right? But the focus is in solving a challenge that I saw, which is, information not being more accessible and just trying to help us get started. Yeah. So the focus is on beginners. So I always start from scratch, like just teaching the basics and everything, right? So that's the type of audience that I'm always looking at. Then I think the other thing in terms of the strategies that I use, it's more of a project based. So the way I've put it is I'll start first with the projects, right? So we come up with whether it's a website. So like the last session that we had, we're looking at developing the Google website. So just remaking that, right? So the reason why we get to do that is so that individuals can actually understand how these systems are actually built, what technologies are used and things like that. And if they were to build the same ones or maybe just different ones, but what technologies they can use, we do the same thing, right? So what we do is we come up with a project, like for example, the same one that I've said, Google website. So I start teaching them how to design the Google website. But while I'm doing that, I'm explaining like the basics, everything that goes into it. So, okay, this is the structure. Okay, now let's implement the structure. Okay, how did they implement the structure on the Google website? We do that. Okay, this is how you add a paragraph tag in the website. But on the Google website, where is the paragraph? Okay, let's add the paragraph.
Yeah.
So stuff like that. So project-based kind of, right? But then when we, like after some time, so this is something that I actually planned, but we've not yet done it. So over time, let's say if we build maybe 2 or 3 projects, we'll now go back to really revise, like start from scratch to say, okay, our focus now is just HTML. So that as I'm teaching them, it will now be coming back to them to say, oh, okay, that's where that was coming from. Oh, okay, that's so that there's that realization to say, okay, this is where that is coming from. So basically, that's the strategy around how we've been teaching.
Yeah, it is. It actually makes people get involved and understand, because they say you understand more what you see. Yeah. So if they at least see how that thing works, even remembering, it will be actually be helpful.
Yeah, I think they're also learning by doing.
It's very good. I'm like, more thumbs up. It's so thumbs up that. So where we have like you doing all these things, right? But it's like also important to have like involve the community, and the community should be part of whatever you're doing. So how have you been able to involve building and fostering coding in communities?
Okay. So one of the ways is the same one, like online teachings. So I know to say there are different groups online. On Facebook, you find a number of groups for just different technologies. And I think this is actually one of the approaches that I've seen, like the common one, where people get to come together if they're looking at a certain technology. So there's this, I think there's even like a WhatsApp group for Flutter developers in Zambia. So there's that group as well, right? So if let's say you want to start learning Flutter, or you're a Flutter developer, you get to join that group, right? So as I'm sharing these teachings online, we get also share maybe the links to these other groups so that they can also have access. Right? Just making sure that the community is also part of that. Right? But I'm also currently the president for our computer club at Cavendish University. So what we do there at the club is that we engage different students at different levels, first year, second years, fourth year students into these sessions that we always have. Because again, another thing with our curriculum and just the education system is that there's also that lack of practical aspect to the stuff that we do, right?
Yeah.
So whenever we have these things in terms of the club, the learning and everything, it's also an opportunity for them to be practical in terms of the things that they're learning in the classroom, right? So that's one, again, another community that we have, but that's like a school setup kind of. I'm also the Microsoft Learn Student Ambassador. Yeah. So what we do as Microsoft Learn Student Ambassadors is that we host events. So we just host events in different communities, in schools, publicly. We just find the location, we host an event, and it's always open to anyone, whether you are in high school, you're in university, you are not in school, you finish school, it's open to everyone. And that, I think, is one of the ways that we feel can help different communities grow in terms of the tech space.
Yeah.
And aside from listening, if you're like looking for a community to join, I think someone has highlighted some that you could be part of.
Again, he's the best person to reach out and be part. It's like to be part of a cool and amazing, productive community.
Definitely, you have to reach out to someone. I just want to know, like, when it comes to coding, UI UX design, and other like technology chains, which ones excite you like the most when you just see? Is it in the tech space, or the UI UX design space? Like, which trending things excite you the most?
Okay, when we look at the tech trends, I think for me it's AI. I'm not like an AI kind of person, like a developer or engineer, but it's something that really gets me excited because of its application. Its application is so vast in different areas, in agriculture, in the medical space, in education. It has so many applications. But at the same time, in as much as I'm excited about these technologies in terms of AI, there's also that, a dark side of it. Which a lot of people, I think they usually pay attention to that. They say, no, UI will take our jobs, no UI will destroy people and things like that, But then when you look at it, AI, with AI, it has done more good for me. I think I feel it has done more good than bad. Yeah, maybe the projection in terms of where it's going, I feel if people misuse it, because at the end of the day, it's always about the people using the technology.
Exactly.
Yeah, because I'll give you an example, right? If you are driving, then you encounter an accident, right? You encounter an accident, the police won't arrest the vehicle. They will arrest the individual, right? Because the individual is the one in control of the vehicle, right? So at the end of the day, in as much as we're advancing AI and everything, we also have to be concerned with the mindset that is using the technology. Yeah, but aside from that, I feel there are so many applications that AI can help us, especially in the medical space, in the agriculture sector here in Zambia. It can really help even just the economy grow so much. So I'm excited about that.
I'm also excited about AI. I'm just telling myself to say I would want to be like part of. I don't know what's coming next in terms of technology, but I hope I'll be there.
It's amazing and exciting how technology is growing every time. And the way you're teaching and everything, I feel like people should actually do more because people are running behind, especially in African countries and everything, because they're not aware of how amazing and how this thing is actually going to be the next big thing. So speaking of all that and everything, like, what advice would you give to an individual looking to like connect with others in the tech or coding space, or even like individuals who wanting to get started in such a kind of environment, whether it's coding, whether it's design? Like, what advice would you give them? They can say, yes, Papa. You give it as a powerful.
Okay. I think one of them we've talked about it, which is communities. Communities are, I think, a large part of just the tech space. In different communities, you find different talents and just different stuff that people are doing. So I think for someone getting started, being part of the community is a good thing. Because if you get stuck or you need help with something, where do I get started? What technology can I involve myself in? I feel when you're part of a community, you get to have the correct answers. And you get to start on the right track.
Yeah.
Because there are times where someone who gets started, then after maybe a year or two, they now, start saying, no, if I was starting out, this is what I would do, and things like that, right? So instead of you getting to that point of regret to say, okay, if I would start getting started, I would have started here. I feel being part of a community really helps in terms of just getting started and meeting people that are in tech, whether it be someone who might be a potential mentor, someone that can just guide you through everything. And apart from communities, I think just online groups, right? Online groups, we've talked about the WhatsApp group, right?
Yeah.
So I can even ask online, what tech communities or groups are there here in Zambia? And just find people that can connect you. Links are there. People are generous enough to share these things.
Exactly.
And that's one thing that I love about certain communities that are there here in Zambia, the tech space. People are generous enough to just share these opportunities that are there.
Yeah,
whether there is a competition, whether there is a group or an event and a meetup and things like that, you see it happening all over social media. So that's, I think, a good place to just meet people, whether it be at events even. Yeah, I think from the in the past 2 years, we've had some good platforms that had hosted certain events for tech. Just, was it last year, I think December or November, we had the /D by Mulungoshi. It was a very big event and a lot of tech people were there. Different communities were just there. It was an amazing opportunity to just meet people that you even see online, meeting them in person, asking them certain questions and just learning from that experience. So I feel events as well, even meetings, right? Yeah. Then I think for someone getting started, one of the things that I feel is important is understanding why you want to go in a certain area.
Yes, sure.
Understanding. There, I think we've talked about being the tech space having many areas that you can go into. So you need to understand, okay, why do I want to start with AI? Or why do I want to start with web? Why do I want to start with mobile app development, right? When you have that understanding, it even gives you that drive and that purpose to say, even when you encounter a blockage or maybe a setback, you understand, say, okay, I think I need to push in because I started this because of this, right?
Yeah.
So when you have that understanding, it's even easier to choose which technology. Because again, one thing I've noticed or seen about programmers, they're very protective of the technology they use, right? So you find they've even built communities actually. These guys are just JavaScript lovers. Don't tell them PHP is the way to go. And they'll argue with you and stuff like that. So I feel people can escape from that if they understand, okay, I want to go into app development because of this, or I want to solve this problem, right? So even the technology you use actually have a purpose because you understand, say, okay, the best technology for what I'm supposed to do is this and not this. So I think those are some of the things that as a beginner or someone getting started, you need to put in mind as you're getting started. These other things, they just come easily because once you identify, okay, I want to go into this because I want to solve this problem. And okay, how do I solve this problem? Okay, this is the best technology. Then you choose that now, you get started. Yeah.
I know, right? It's just there. It's just plain, we don't need to add math or subtract anything. It's just that you can get started if you just also it's just about knowing what you want, like you're saying.
Yeah.
If you know okay, what are my strengths? What am I capable of? What am I not capable of? Then you're good to go, right?
So true.
Yeah, true. Right, Doreen?
Yeah, definitely. I think, as is mentioned, just being part of communities, don't be alone when you're in the tech space. Either if you're doing UI UX design or you're doing coding, just try to be part of a community, attend events like someone had said, and also just know the purpose when you're getting started with anything. Yeah, and then I think before we even get to wrap up this podcast, Samo, I just do have 2 questions for you. So we just answer them quickly. So I'll just go Adobe XD or Figma. Quickly, Samo. You don't have to think about it. Okay. Man,
Excuse wrong man. What say? Why? And they say it. Adobe XD or Figma.
Figma.
Adobe
Figma.
and Adobe XD.
Figma. Yes. Charge.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, this was a wonderful episode.
Yes.
And it's over to you, Sharon, just to give like a wrap up for our episode. But it was really great having you.
It was really great to have King. I'm putting the King things out there for those you never know. King Samuel, yes.